will we do that? Dr. Marta Wilson, who is the CEO of Transformation Systems, Inc., and author of the book Leaders in Motion and Everybody's Business, will share insights on the moves you can make to propel forward in the face of demanding realities. Discover what it means to take personal responsibility for bold business goals, demonstrating unwavering resolve to produce the best organizational outcomes and create superb customer results as a catalyst for transformation. In this session, Dr. Marta Wilson will share with you ways that you can take a risk to be more powerful and advance to your next level of leadership effectiveness as you engage your total enterprise to boost quality, productivity, and profitability. Let's give a warm welcome for Dr. Marta Wilson.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
I'm so happy to be here, and I'm also happy that I brought a guest with me to the conference from Washington, D.C. I'd like for him to stand up, Dr. Alton Clark. And Alton and I have worked together for 19 years, and he's devoted his whole career to quality, and he's currently finishing up the chapter on strategic performance measurement for the new edition of the Industrial Systems Engineering Handbook. So if you want any light reading, you might want to check that out when it comes out here in a few months. And also, Alton is featured in the book that you'll all be receiving today, Everybody's Business. So, I have a question for you. Can anyone remember back when you were starting to get into the field of quality or into auditing or whatever your profession may be? Can you remember back to how excited you were and what was driving that? A few of you can. I see no hands. So a few of you can remember. Well, you know, I have a story for you. This summer, I went to Tennessee to visit my family. I flew down, and while I was there, I took my niece, Ashley, to lunch. And Ashley is in her mid-20s, and she's been working in a bank for a few years since she got out of college, but she's been going to school to get her MBA all this time. And so at lunch we were celebrating, and I said, Ashley, what are you going to do with your career? What's your dream? And she got all serious, and she goes, Aunt Marta, I'm going to be an auditor. And I just thought, that's not what I was expecting to hear. You know, I thought maybe it would be something else. And I said, well, tell me about it. And she said, well, I've really looked into it, and I'm meant to be an auditor because I want to make a difference in business without being the center of attention. I thought that was so profound. And so then I asked her to tell me everything about what auditors do, because I already knew that I'd be speaking at this conference, so I thought, hey, I might as well get started on my homework before I go to the conference. And when it comes to Ashley, I know, because I've known her whole life, Ashley will be a leader. Ashley will be a change agent as she enters the field of auditing. Now, I've already met several of you today, and when I look around this room, I see people who are already leaders and who are already agents of change. So, what I'm going to focus in on today is your unique leadership potential. And we're going to explore how engagement and how clarity help us achieve our bold goals. And we're also going to talk about personal mastery. And let me tell you, I know about personal mastery. I was not born a company CEO. I wasn't born a business author, and I wasn't born a community leader. In fact, I was a timid little mouse who felt invisible. And today, I'm a bold lion who achieves visible results. So I'm going to put forth 5 bold things today while we spend our time together. The first one is, where there's a will, there's a way. The second one is, clear intention is all about what we want. My third message is, great leaders have clear intention. My fourth point is, clear intention creates exceptional results. And my fifth message will be, engaging people exponentially magnifies our impact. So, first point, where there's a will, there's a way. What is will? Will is intention. If I want clear intention, where do I start? I get focused with such unending purpose on my goal that I refuse to fail, no matter what. For example, imagine that you receive a phone call at work and you learned that one of your loved ones was gravely ill and needed you immediately. Would you go? Just show of hands, would you go to your loved one? Okay. Almost everybody there. What if you had a deadline to meet? Would you still go to your loved one? Still see hands? What if your customer or your boss threatened to fire you? Would you still go? That boss. What if that same person locked you in your office? Would you get out? What if you climbed out the window, got out to your car, and it wouldn't start? Would you still get to that person you love? Every time I describe this situation to people, thousands of people over the years, everyone always says, I get to my loved one no matter what. That's a simple example of clear intention. We can all relate to it. Our leadership results are related to our intention. So for us to achieve our leadership goals, whatever they may be, in whatever walk of life and line of work we're in, we have to get clear intention, just like in that example. So, speaking of intention, I want you to imagine for a minute that you are someone who is habitually late, never on time. And for some reason, you get inspired and decide that you're going to be punctual, you're going to be on time everywhere you go, and you declare to the whole world, everyone you work with, everyone you know, I'm going to be on time from now on. Then on Monday morning, you show up 10 minutes late. Whoops. What's a good 10-minute excuse? Anybody? Traffic. Any others? Rain. Weather. Car wouldn't start. Those are good 10-minute excuses. So, you declare to everyone, you recommit, I am going to be on time for work from now on. And the next day you show up 4 hours late. What's a good 4-hour excuse after all that? Car crash. Someone said, a plumbing leak. Something pretty big. Okay, you get through that, you make your excuse, you recommit, and then you don't show up to work for a week. A week! You need a whopper of a story at that point, don't you? Now, think about this. What if you were promised to receive $1 million in cash for showing up at work on time on Monday morning? What would you do to make sure that none of those excuses got in your way? I hear lots of stuff. So you might get up at 3 o'clock, drive over and sit in the parking lot. You might camp out on the steps of the building. You might even chain yourself to your office chair and not leave the building at all. The point is, most people would do whatever it would take to get their $1 million in cash. So, when we have the intention or the will to achieve an outcome, we can discover the way, or mechanisms or tools, or whatever you want to call it, we can discover the way to achieve that goal. And what I found over the years is finding the way to make things happen really does fall back on your will, not in blaming outside forces and factors. And as I said, I know how to make things happen. I was a timid mouse, and now I'm a bold lion. So I want you to dive in with me on the topic of getting consciously intentional. So, my second point is, clear intention is all about what we want. Most people, when I talk to people, most people are conscious about what they do not want. I don't want to do performance reviews. I don't want to make difficult business decisions. I don't want to be bored at work. The secret is in getting clear on what we do want. I'm going to ask you to work with me here. So I'm curious, what is it that everyone here wants out of today? This is a big investment of time, energy, money. I want you to think, just for a few seconds, what do I want? Me. Be selfish. Think hard and be selfish. What do I want out of investing my life's energy here at this conference today? Go ahead and just think. Close your eyes if it helps. It always helps me. What do I want? Okay, I see happy faces. That means people are getting clear on what they want. Okay, here's what I want you to do. I just want you to turn to the person sitting next to you and look him or her in the eye, right in the eyes. Now look right at them and smile. And if you're at a table with an odd number, 3 of you can do that. Look each other in the eye and smile. Okay, now, okay, stop smiling, stop smiling. Okay. Then what I want you to do with that person is just tell that person simply what you want out of today. Should I take a second? What do you want? Tell each other. What do I want out of today? Thank you for that. Thank you for working with me here. Okay, let's stop. Being totally honest, do you think, as you were saying what you were saying to your colleague, could your answers have been a little more specific? Maybe? For example, if you said something like, want to meet people. That's great. For what purpose? Or I want to make a contribution, and that's why I'm here. To what end? Or I want to grow and develop. Into what? So I want you to just turn back to your buddy there and tell him one more little specific thing about what you really, really want out of today. Go ahead. Okay. That sounded pretty specific. Now let's go a little deeper. Exercising any of our leadership muscles requires that we get clear on what we want for ourselves, for our relationships, and for our organization. It is a three-legged stool, and it will fall if any one of those three legs is weak. So in the cone of silence, if you can do that, in the cone of silence, I want you to think just for a minute. No time horizon. We're not talking just about today. I want you to think, what is it that I want for myself? What is it that I really want for my relationships? And what is it that I want for my organization? Go ahead and think about that. Our ability to lead hinges on the clarity of those three questions and how we frame our intention around them. And I don't want to put anyone on the spot. Would anyone care to share just one thing that you want for yourself? Now, I had some buddies this morning that told me they were going to, there he is, right there. What do you want for yourself?
I'd like to build closer personal relationships with people because I find the business tend to get busy in the details. We don't focus on people. The value is in the
Thank you for that. He says that he would like to really build closer relationships with people because in his work, he often gets bogged down in the details that are not about the people. Thank you. And that kind of focuses in on self and relationships. Would anyone care to share something that you really, really want for your organization? I'm sure there must be some big wants here. Where are my friends? There you are.
I would like to meet at least 3 new professional associates and find a way to help them achieve world-class performance and leadership.
So helping associates in the organization reach their full potential, world-class potential. That's beautiful. Thank you. So I'll restate my second point. Clear intention is all about what we want. My third point today is great leaders have clear intention. In his best-selling book, Good to Great, Jim Collins says that great leaders really have 2 things. They have personal humility and they have professional intention or professional will. And he talks about how that people who have professional intention, they do 3 things. They create superb results. They're as catalysts for transformation. They also demonstrate unwavering resolve to achieve long-term outcomes, no matter how difficult. And third, they look at their reflection not out the window when outcomes are poor, never blaming others, never blaming circumstances or external forces. So professional intention equals results, resolve, and reflection. And it sort of reminds me of a quote that someone shared with me recently. He said, someone famous once said, "Expect nothing, blame no one, do something." I love that. I wish I knew who originally said it. So great leaders have clear intention, and they constantly compare their stated intention to their actual results. Or maybe I should say they constantly audit their stated intention to their actual results or demonstrated intention. My fourth point while I'm with you today is that clear intention creates exceptional results. I'm going to tell you a story that an exceptional leader told me. This was a few years ago. His name is Richard, and he's the CEO of a large company in the Washington, D.C. area. And a few years back, Richard decided to take some leadership, some classes. It was a series of classes, and it was focused on helping enhance his leadership effectiveness. And different CEOs from around the country took these classes together. So he was at class one day, it was on a Saturday, and they would go all day in these classes. They've been going since early morning, and it was 9 o'clock at night. The instructors gathered everyone around and said, "Okay, now here's your assignment. You're all great, you can do great things. And tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., 90 homeless people are showing up for breakfast, and you need to put all that on. And just to make this an interesting challenge for you leaders, you can't use any money that's in your pockets or any of your credit cards. You're just going to have to figure out how to make it happen." And Richard said, and they left. They went home and went to bed. And they're just standing there, the 24 classmates looking at each other. And finally someone said, "How do we do this? We can't do this." And finally someone said, "If we were going to do this, what do we need?" And they decided that they needed utensils and dishes to cook and serve. They needed food, bacon, eggs, bread, milk, butter. And now this is not my story. And they needed decorations. I would have let that go. And so they broke up into 3 groups of 8 people each. And Richard was in the group that had to get the food. Off they go, the 8 of them. And they were in a large city, and some of the stores were open late, and some were open all night. They started going from store to store. People were turning them away. People were rude to them. They just kept at it. Finally, they started getting some good food, not outdated food. By 2 a.m., he said they had everything that they needed, including 12 pies that a bakery had donated. They had it all. So then they thought, well, what did the other groups do? And they decided, we're so tired, we know they did it. They went back to their hotels, freshened up a little bit, got organized, and went over to the site. Sure enough, the other 2 groups showed up, and those 24 people put on an outstanding, delicious breakfast for 90 people. They had a blast doing it, and I think my favorite part is they had balloons, bubbles, and streamers, which was just too cute. And Richard said that I had interviewed him for a previous book that I had written, and the stories in that book. And I said, "Why did you tell me that story?" Because most of the people that I'd interviewed for that book had told me something about a big change effort, a big transformation. And he said, because for me, it solidified that truly clear intention creates exceptional results. And he said, then I applied it to everything I did after that as a leader and in my company. So I stand by Richard's theory that clear intention does create exceptional results. My 5th point today, and the key message in this book, which you'll all receive at the bookstore later, Everybody's Business, is that engaging others exponentially magnifies our impact. psychologist by training, an industrial psychologist, and the American Psychological Association says that 4 different behaviors define transformational leadership. The first one is transformational leaders act in ways that are motivated by what's best for the organization and its members, not quick fixes. And an example of that is taking the time to co-create shared vision and shared mission. Another behavior of transformational leaders is encouraging people to achieve more than what they thought possible. Have you ever had anyone do that for you, to really encourage you to do more? And don't you just love that person when you think back about how that helped you? And transformational leaders do that through dialogue. A third thing that transformational leaders do is they inspire folks to really think for themselves and question their closely held assumptions, to really be all that they can be. And fourth, and maybe in some ways most importantly, a transformational leader pays attention to people's need to grow and develop, like the person here who said that he wants to find 3 or 4 associates and help them be all they can be. That's a focus on paying attention to people's need for growth and development and mentoring them so that the empathy and the caring that really needs to be put out to everyone we know helps them with their well-being and to develop in ways that maybe they've never thought possible. These 4 behaviors that I mentioned are grounded in engagement, engaging people. Every one of us can be a transformational leader and guide others to create real and lasting change by engaging people. Everyone in your sphere of influence can be agents of change and implement a plan of action that's ignited by engagement. And engagement always starts somewhere. You think, well, people are just engaged, but it really starts somewhere. And each one of us has the choice and the power to unite people's energy. We can take small steps that make it everybody's business to achieve bold goals. Speaking of small steps, more than 40 years ago, Neil Armstrong was the first person to set foot on the moon, and he coined a phrase, that's 1 small step for man, 1 giant leap for mankind. And in a single footstep, Neil Armstrong changed human achievement forever. In the same way, any one person in your enterprise can move it forward exponentially. And Armstrong was one man, and he stood on the shoulders of giants. And my experience is it often takes a series of small steps in an organization to create those watershed moments. Our task as leaders, no matter where we are in our leadership journey, is to create teams of giants and help them imagine the smallest steps possible for the biggest payoffs. And we need to free everybody in the organization to do that and make it everybody's business to know and grow the enterprise. Now, I'm in the business of enterprise transformation. And I launched my company in 2002, Transformation Systems. And our work is founded in the idea that today's increasingly networked and interlinked world really relies on continuous improvement and innovation. And this starts at the very top with leadership, as we heard this morning. And we've also found that if we put all the emphasis on the top leader, it can leave people to wilt and wither. Every single person that has a stake in an organization, I always encourage them to empower themselves to lead, not to wait to be empowered. And sometimes it's hard to think, hey, I can empower myself to lead. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Your leadership role, it may be fleeting and informal, or it may be very formal, tied to a title and to performance targets and all sorts of things. Either way, no form of leadership is inconsequential in steering any enterprise to greatness. Greatness is achieved one decision, one action, and one person at a time. And individuals, in my opinion, can and should be innovators no matter what their job level or duties. One question is, how do we make it everybody's business to be sure that we achieve our bold goals in bleak times, bleak economic times? Well, achieving bold goals starts at the pixel level. The pixel is the smallest discrete element of a picture, and I suggest that we get granular when we look at our organizations. Instead, some organizations use blurry snapshots to look at organizational performance, and these snapshots are a static view, but none of our enterprises are static. Organizations, just like the environments in which they operate, contract, shift, grow, innovate, and react to a really tumultuous world. And in today's highly fluid reality, organizations need a dynamic exchange of ideas so everybody contributes their pixels. And when you do that, you get high definition. Some people might say 1080p. You get that picture that's crisp and clear. This way, you have the most accurate picture of the situation as possible. Dialogue needs to permeate our cultures, and the constant interaction of ideas is what sustains maximum accuracy and situational awareness. When we think about innovation, often we think about this one lone genius. And the truth is that inspiration may dawn one idea at a time, but innovation is often collective achievement of multiple actors. And that's what organizations are all about. Your organization should strive to get from idea to implementation faster than any lone entrepreneur. And our organizations can support the innovators and help them take that innovation to the next level. Again, it goes back to dialogue and uniting people in their ideas. A good example is Wikipedia. With Wikipedia, the exchange of ideas bonds and unites people. Jimmy Wales, one of the co-founders of Wikipedia, he's rallied thousands and thousands of people around the world with an online, open encyclopedia. And he really knows what he's talking about when he says, quote, harnessing the power of lots of people who believe the same thing, unquote. And their vision is so beautiful. Imagine a world where every single person is given free access to the sum of all human knowledge. I want to be part of that. Now, an alternative to this approach is what we see in many old economy industries and businesses today. Companies that are least flexible, least dynamic, least innovative are the ones that get left behind. Think about BlackBerry. What's outdated is often not only their business models, but also the thinking behind the business. They've run out of imagination. At these enterprises, the best talent becomes disenfranchised. And if An outdated model can't adapt. It will be replaced by something else. An example of this is the story that we all know something about, Silicon Valley. There were 8 dissatisfied employees who left Shockley Semiconductor, and they left and went over and formed Fairchild Semiconductor. Then they left Fairchild and started their own companies, and then those people started creating more companies, and that's how in 20 years, 65 companies existed where there had been one. And we applaud Silicon Valley and its impact, but its emergence is an allegory with a warning. Established enterprises that want to be market leaders must be places where individual innovators have a voice and are paid attention to. So, my challenge to you is really the same challenge that I've given to myself. Empower everyone in your sphere of influence, whether it's your intern or your most valuable independent contributor, to make a difference where there's a difference to be made. Rededicate your own talent, your talent, to creating a setting where everybody's rewarded for learning and collaborating and being successful. That is your very own power of one. That's your power. Everybody can be in tune with your goals if you include them in the dialogue. And let me underscore include. Don't limit your ideas to high-value contributors to just employees and colleagues. Look beyond those barriers of payroll. Include your customers. Include your suppliers. Include your investors, your strategic partners. Each stakeholder has a unique take. It's their pixel on what your organization is doing, and each one of these can be a wealth of information that feeds that high-definition info feed that we can pull in to help us manage and lead better. We need to ask everyone in our companies, especially during bleak times, to rise to the occasion and help us create a culture of continuous creation that's founded in intention and engagement. Like one step onto the lunar surface, it does take individuals to transform an organization. You can't just transform an organization. You can't just say it and make it happen, but we can inspire individuals to transform themselves and their work, to take those smallest steps with the biggest payoffs. So, in my work, I seek out stories from exceptional leaders. And when I seek out these stories about purpose, alignment, transformation, and results, I learn a lot. These stories involve the power of intention and clarity and commitment and energy to work miracles in organizations. I've shared a few illustrations with you. We reviewed the American Psychological Association's definition of transformational leadership. We looked at an example of successful engagement, Wikipedia, and an example of perhaps a lack of engagement in Silicon Valley and how that turned out. We looked at what Richard and his classmates achieved with, according to Richard, clear intention. We verified that pretty much everyone in this room would get to your ailing family member if they needed you. And we confirmed that nothing would hold you back from getting your $1 million in cash with clear intention. And you also, as you talked with each other, you expressed intentions for yourself, for your relationships, and for your organization. So, in having those conversations, you started to define it. Now it's time for action. It's time to be it, to do it, to have it. So I'm curious about you and what it means to get in motion and achieve your own goals. When I launched my company back in 2002, truly with a leap of faith and a credit card, it was risky. I emptied my savings account, I put my house on the line, and I went without paychecks. It was risky. However, I had intention, and my intention was to create an organization filled with PhDs, possibility thinkers, and business authors who would help leaders create transformation and achieve their challenging goals. I was very clear about that. So, my question for you today is, whatever your intentions are, whatever it is that you've started to think about here today, about what you want, is what is one risk that you're willing to take, just one, in order to take action and move toward any one of those goals? Now, before you start thinking about that, let me be very clear, because I know I'm being filmed here. I'm not asking you to go without a paycheck. I'm not asking you to put your house on the line or to empty your savings account. I'm asking you to take one small step. And achieving goals requires taking some risks. So just think about that, or maybe even write it down if you have a piece of paper. What's one risk I'm willing to take? Think about that just for a minute. So there's one special person in this room who's going to tell us one risk that he or she's willing to take. I'm looking for you right now. Who is it? What's one risk? Just one. I just want to hear one. One risk that someone's willing to take. There must be some pretty intense. What was that? Risking failing. I love that. And since I'm ending my speech, I'm going to talk about failure rather than to say, I believe in failing to win. I really believe it, and that's a great risk to be willing to take. It changes our whole mindset and what we think is possible. Thank you for that. So, in summary, I shared 5 points with you during those few minutes that we had together. Where there's a will, there's a way. Clear intention is all about what you want. Great leaders have clear intention. Clear intention creates exceptional results, and engaging people exponentially magnifies our impact. I believe it is everybody's business to make a positive difference, whether it's in our organizations or our community or beyond. It's up to each of us to get clear and get in motion and engage others to be agents of change. Now, next week when you're back at work, on time I hope, when you're back at work and ready to make big things happen, you may find that reading everybody's business is a way to supercharge your leadership potential. And if you take action, I'd love to hear from you. And if you'd like to connect, the website for my company's on the book jacket, and all of my contact information is on the website. Thank you so much. You've been a great audience.
On behalf of the Audit Division, we would like to share with you a small token of appreciation. Thank you so much.
So much, Cindy. Thank you. Just want to take them
Now you're all dismissed and you can get ready to go to your afternoon sessions. Thank you.